I'm Edie Lush and I'm here outside the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Really delighted to be joined by Bruno Sanchez Andrade Nuno. You're at the Innovation Labs at the World Bank. You're a data scientist.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the interest in our work.
Tell me a little bit about some of the projects you're doing with big data.
So our lab, the mission is to find the operational value of big data. So we know these things work because they work in Silicon Valley. How can we make sure that they work in the context of developing countries? For example, we are using big data, satellite images at night in India to see what are the electrification rates for the whole of the country for 600,000 villages every night for the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. When we do that, we start to analyze what are the situations that conduce to more light output, which yields information about access to electricity, which is one of the major challenges people face to start in the development ladder of progress.
Tell me about some of the work that you're doing. I know you're doing another project that that's coming up quite soon. Tell me about that.
With this one we're involved, which is in Kosovo.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what we do there is we use drones, planes with cameras to do cadastral maps, mm-hmm. so land rights. Mm-hmm. In this particular village we are working, Kruša e Made, during the war, unfortunately, there was, in the conflicts, all the men and boys were killed, and now the women are girls. The women don't have land rights, so when we are tending the fields, when they are selling the peppers they sell, they have problems now to, for example, ask for loans in banks. Mm-hmm. So this project in the bank, what it's trying to do is to figure out what is the land, what is the image there, and then go back and see what's your land rights, and through a regularization process, to do that much quicker than usually is the case. It's not talking about 1 year process. It's a week process or 2 weeks process.
Incredible.
So that they can go to banks, for example, and ask for loans to say, hey, this is my collateral. I can ask for a loan to invest on my fridge, on my instrumentation that I need for that. So there's an example of how we know we can fly drones. Mm-hmm. We know these things are coming. How can we find the right way to use them for development outcomes?
Tell me about some of the work you're doing, same idea, interesting development outcomes with big data, for example, with roads.
So one of the things we are trying to do is to use the data not only to monitor what's happening, but also to plan what is the best use to optimize our resources. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you have all the roads in a region, and you know if some of them are paved, some of them are not paved, what is the speed of those, and the population on these cities, on these villages, you can know what percentage of the people in that province can access hospital in 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Now, with that data, you can analyze it with complex routing systems and say, if you improve this road, the percentage increase of people accessing those hospitals improves by this much. So you can design interventions that are tailored to the exact reality of that province. And you can even make what we call a program for results, where we disburse more funds as the results are shown. Mm-hmm. So you have the study, you have the network, you tell us where you want the road because you have the data, and then we start building that. And when that happens, we continue with the next roads. And when that thing happens, because it's data agnostic, it can work wherever we are. Is it China, or is it India, or is it whatever it is, we can then scale that up to other places.
Do you think you can use that data and what you've done to then extrapolate to say how health has increased in a certain region, for example? Or is it just access to health?
No, the thing is that access to health can make the difference of living or dying. Mm-hmm. In many cases, the causes of this could be prevented, or just knowing how the population is suffering from, and what is the access, what is the time for a public health system to be aware that there is an epidemic, or there is something coming up. Mm-hmm. And that access to information, and that access to know what the constituency, what the people are suffering from, you need data for doing that. And one of the things you need is access to those facilities. When you get that data, you can also do other projects we are doing in public health to try to analyze those things, understand how the diseases are spreading, how to minimize the time from the collection of the data to be aware at the provincial level or national level of what's happening in the whole country.
Bruno, thank you so much for stopping by Hub Culture's Pavilion. I'll let you get back into the warm. I'm Edie Lush.